Hello, good morning. I'm under here somewhere. You can't see me. Wait, am I going? Yes. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm doing, this view will make more sense in a minute because I'm going to do a spread with you. But I wanted to first talk about theme and any restrictions you want to put in place for your book. So that's why I have my huge stack of books here. So we can go through and talk about them, and hopefully this works and you can see them. This is my first time doing this sort of video where I'm not just looking at the camera and talking, so you're welcome. I am growing just for you, ladies. Okay, so this is a good example to start with because this book was actually one that was a altered book in a circle like we're doing now, so we passed it around. So what I did before I started passing is I decided, this was originally a novel called Faithful, I think. So let's see if I can find my rules. Okay. I put my name in here. You don't have to do that, but I did put this book started by Lily. And then I decided, I sort of decorated the cover, I still need more coffee. I decorated like the table of contents in this blank page. And then this is the theme I chose, pleasure. So I just put that there. And then I made this page that is like what I'm calling restrictions now. And one of the things I am, learning and like investigating this year in my own art practice is the idea of restrictions and setting them for myself and then seeing how that influences the art. And I just heard it several different places how, restrictions in art actually makes it easier to make art because you already have a starting point, I guess is one way to put it. So I encourage you to come up with a list of restrictions that you want people to follow. And one of those restrictions can obviously be like, if none of this speaks to you, do your own thing. It's up to you how strict you want to make the instructions for your book. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to even be that specific. So the rules I had made for this book are invent, play more, feel yourself, remake a whole chapter and name it too, be flexible, mix up your art routine. So sort of encouraging people to maybe experiment in an art medium that they haven't done before. And this was a book that I was doing with mostly other artists. So, but the important one obviously being here, remake a whole chapter and name it too. So because I wanted people to pick a chapter out of the book and work on that whole chapter, which worked really well for this particular size of a book because, like, for example, this first person, this was all one chapter and they were able to do lots of cool stuff. But, as you can see, like, they're not, what's the word? Like, that's one chapter, I think. They did a little bit on each page. Like they did a really cool word poem, or chosen poem, which we're going to go through at the end of this video. They did a couple of those, but they also did like some shorter, smaller installations where, I don't know how long it took them. Oh, and then she signed it, which was nice, Krista. I don't know how long it took them to do, but I wouldn't think that this level of work took them more than, a couple hours, if even. So I really like this page with the arrows, the chunky arrow. It's always fun to look through because it's so motivating. She included some trash in here, some tape. She did one page that was just ink. She did a cutout, which is cool. Cut half the page out and put in a clear. I don't know how well you can see that, but yeah, so that was one chapter. She did that one chapter, and she presumably followed the other rules. Here's a different example of someone doing a chapter. It's the same idea, but like a little simpler, more focused, and you know, similar from page to page. So this person really like went deep on like the chosen poetry part of it, but just chose a few words on each page, and it's an extended poem that goes throughout the whole chapter. And this is watercolor, by the way, so this is my friend Allie that did this. She did some cutouts at the bottom of the pages. She added her own words, which is really cool. I don't know if you can see that, but she added a little phrase on each page. So anyway, two very different interpretations of the same theme and using the same restrictions. So I thought that was important to show because don't think like with a list of restrictions and by choosing a theme that you're going to be getting back a book where everybody did the same things. One of the coolest things about this art form, in my opinion, is that it's always different. You never know what's going to happen. It's always good. Yeah, so here's another. I want to try to go through this a little more quickly. I'm not a fast video person, but I also don't want to take up your whole day. So this was another theme. This was my personal book for, I wonder if I put the year in here, 2020. I tried to do a 100-day art reset. I didn't get that far. I maybe got 10 days. But anyway, my theme was reset because that was my word of the year. What does reset mean? And then, again, this was my personal book, not one I was passing, but I just took, for each spread, I just did a word and like answering this question, what does reset mean? A period is a reset. You had me at reset. Reset the chaos. So I just tried to include that word. Here's a little secret. I love putting little secret stuff in here. I just tried for every page to include reset, the word reset in some way. So that's sort of like the theme dictated my approach to the book. And also, I think in this book, particularly because of its size and its age, I just kept it really simple. I'm mostly using just paint markers here. Not doing a ton of collage. Paint markers, paint pens. There's some collage. Adding in an image. So, yeah. This was a nice collage one, right? I used some wallpaper, actually. Reset the alphabet. So this is a really fun approach. So your theme could be one word, like that one was pleasure, this one was reset, could be one word. And then, oh, I guess I'm into the one word themes because the one for this one, which I've showed you before, is joy. And again, this was my personal book, so I wasn't passing it, so I didn't actually write out restrictions. And actually, I've been doing this one so long that my approach has changed so much. But like, I think I showed you my very first spread last time I did a video, and so a lot of that I still try to do. So I kind of like, the restrictions in my own books mostly kind of come as I'm making. I don't think this book has a lot of restrictions. I think this is a free-for-all. I'm going to do something in that book in a bit. This book is also a personal book, but I want to show you as far as theme goes, the restrictions I set for this for myself were to make it like an oracle deck. So each page has a woman and a message. And then as time went on, I also added that I wanted to use the words on the page in some way, at least draw from the words on the page. I didn't do that at first, so I added that in later on. So basically, I set the theme for myself, and then each page in this book has a woman, a message not from the book, and then a poem that is from the book. So that's been a really cool process because it's just like gotten more and more interesting, I guess, as I go through the book. Let's see, about midway, I decided to start adding in like these like interactive elements where, you know, you take this out and it's got something. So, and this is the kind of thing I just absolutely love doing. But I wasn't doing that obviously at the beginning of my altered book practice. So a lot of this came after a couple years of just doing collage and chosen poetry or blackout poetry. So this is another one that has an interactive element where you pull it out and you open it up and the message is in here. It says play outdoors. So that's that book. This is my most recent spread, which and almost at the end. I have one spread left in this book, which I'm super excited about. This will be my first book to actually finish. This is my most recent one where I just did a huge collage, all in black and white. The message is stand at the edge, and here's the woman. So no matter how much my practice has changed a lot, and my focus of really doing collage and these interactive elements has changed, you know, over time, but I'm still following those basic restrictions that I had set for myself at the beginning. So that's a cool one. You can see that also for almost all of these, I've in some way decorated the cover. So that's something you could do at the beginning or you could do at the end if you want to wait. This is the final one I wanted to show you because this was one I was doing with another person and we set restrictions for ourselves, but I don't think I wrote them down in here. This was just a note I made to myself. But what we were doing is for each spread, we were taking influence from a female writer or artist. I can't remember if it's been so long since I did this, but I know that this one, because I put a quote by her, words have life and must be cared for, Karita Kent. So this spread was inspired by the artist Karita Kent. And I thought, like, if you're searching for a theme and you don't know what to do, that is one way to... Hold on one second. Waldo. No. Sorry. Dogs. That would be one thing, is to take inspiration from something else. So maybe there's another writer that you really like, or maybe there's another artist that you really like. You could draw from this idea and say, you know, that the theme is quotes by famous women, you know. So anything like that. So these were all responses to, I believe, responses to female artists. Yeah, this was a response to an Audre Lorde poem. And yeah, so I don't think I have. It's annoying that I didn't write down. I didn't write down who I'm responding to and all of these things. So I'm sure I wrote it down somewhere, but it's not in this book. But anyway, this is a good example of a more contemporary book that I'm using to alter. It does behave differently, like the pages are stiffer. But obviously still very, very doable. Yeah, I want to get back into this. Anyway, distracted. Okay, so that's theme and restriction. So I encourage you to, since we're doing a circle, I encourage you to choose a theme that you want people to focus on, and then to come up with a list of restrictions. And you can, oh, I know the final book. Sorry, 1 minute. That I can show you was, I don't think I've showed yet on this on these videos, but this was another book that I did as a past book, an art circle, altered book circle book. And obviously it wouldn't work for mail because it's huge. But I did come up with restrictions. The theme for this one I put on the cover. It says the United States of ... And that was the theme. And then I came up with restrictions that I included here in the jacket. And it says United States of ? Complete as many pages or spreads that you want using the theme United States of blank. Your spread will fill in the blank. For example, United States of fashion, United States of women, United States of beef. How you go about illustrating the theme is totally up to you. You can do a deep dive into something really specific or investigate a more general movement, characteristic, demographic, industry, etc. And then I wrote, be curious, be adventurous, be rebellious, and have fun. So that was my list of restrictions that I included in the book. So anyone coming to work in the book would look at that first. And then some examples. I know I'm too zoomed in, but I'm afraid to mess with my camera because I'm afraid I'll mess it up. Let me see if I can. Anyway, some examples. This was a collage that I did called the United States of Stuff, which was all red, white, and blue collage. This isn't really the right size book for this camera view. But yeah, so people did like the United States of timber, someone did, as in wood, trees. Joan did a spread in here that is in our circle now, so you're going to see more of her work. But here's her spread, the United States of joy. This is cool. Find it anywhere if you just look. She included a poem. Lots of her artwork, which is so special. This is one that I added to here recently called the United States of Gardening. And I did another collage with all fruits and vegetables. I know I'm upside down, but what are you gonna do? Yeah, so that was another one I wanted to show you. That was a past book where different people interpreted the theme, because I thought that would be important. Okay, so I want to move on to actually doing art, because I want to give you guys hopefully a couple different things you can do when you're first starting out. Maybe you've never done an altered book before. And the first one, the easiest, in my opinion, the easiest thing to do when you approach, I have to find a page, like a blank page. There we go. This is a blank page. A lot of these I have. So one of the things I've done in this book, which you don't have to do, but if you want to, is what I started doing is actually just gluing together 2 pages back to back so that my pages are thicker when I go to work on them. So all of these are glued 2 pages together, and then I have a thicker page. That's, you could do that in just the section you're working on if you want, or you could go through and do that for your entire book if you want. Okay. Like this is one that isn't glued together, and the page is very thin and almost looks like it's going to tear out. So that's a good way. Like I said, we're never going to use all the pages. So going through and gluing pages to each other is one way to make the pages hold up better. And then also just, you know, it's less pages you have to do overall. Okay, here's an empty. Maybe I'll do this one. All right. So I want to show you, like, you've got a brand new spread here. You're going to do your first altered book spread. Got my Sharpie here. Now what you can do is start with a pencil, but I typically don't, but I will just this time. Okay, so the easiest or most accessible, I guess, is just to do a straight blackout poem, which just means that you're choosing certain words on the page to keep, if you will, and certain words on the page that you're going to black out or cover up in some way. Now, blackout is kind of a misnomer because you can cover them up using colored pencils, and you can still read the words. It's just that, like this one I did at a workshop the other day, the words, I selected certain words and circled them, and then I colored around them, and I'm not coloring in where I selected. So it's not as though you can't actually read the other words. I mean, I think blackout poetry, initially people were literally blacking out the words so that you couldn't read. And sometimes I do that, and actually that's a really powerful spread, and it looks great, but I don't always black it out to the point where you can't see what's behind it. So you can do either one. But the first step is to get a pencil or a pen if you're feeling really confident, and find words. And my advice is just to circle words that stick out to you for whatever reason. Like the first thing I see on here is the roving passions exercise. Like, that's a pretty good phrase, right? So maybe I might come back to that. Pity. So I'm kind of like, I'm paying attention to words wasting away. And what I'm trying to find is, like, is there a theme here somewhere that I can grasp onto? Of course, joy is on the page everywhere because that's what the book is about. The full joy, like, that's a pretty good phrase. Friendship, gladness. So I've got pity and wasting away, and then I've got good health, good friends, a good living, good things of life. I like good things of life. So I'm just looking for, like, interesting phrases or words that I think I can make something out of. Good things of life and the full joy. The roving passions I like. So maybe I'm going to stick with that. That eraser sucks. I need an eraser. So I try to have everything close by, so I don't have to dig around. I'm not gonna do pity and wasting away. I think I'm gonna go positive on this one. So right now I have the roving passions, good things of life, the full joy. Maybe I want one more. Oh, blessing. Here's blessing. Oh, blessed friends. That's good. Exclamation. Of course, the language in this book is very pointed. Like, I kind of know what I'm going to find because it's very religious. A lot of it is actually quoting the Bible directly. So you will get to know the language in your book the more you work in it. Expresses gratitude for so great a blessing. I have much gladness too. So these are all nice, positive phrases. Okay, So I have, I don't know if the roving passions really go anymore. I'm not really telling a story with this one. I'm just, sometimes there's more of a narrative, but in this one it seems it's just kind of a feeling that I'm getting. Okay, the exclamation, or maybe just exclamation. So exclamation, I'm thinking could be a title. Exclamation, blessed friends, good things of life, much gladness. I like this, the full joy of familiarity. So I like that. Okay, so I have my words. I have my title. I try to always choose a title. If you can't find a title on the page, it's fun when you find a title on the page, but if you can't, you could always add one in, write one in, or collage one in. But I really like to find it on the page if I can. So now what I'm doing is I'm going over these in Sharpie because when I do my coloring or design or collage or whatever it is, I do not want to cover these things up. This is critical because I've chosen these words and now I want them to be the focus of the page in this case. So I'm just circling them. I need the full joy of familiarity. I'm circling them, and then now when I read it out, you'll notice that they don't go in order necessarily the way you would read top to bottom, because I want it to say exclamation, blessed friends, good things of life, and then I want to skip down to much gladness, and then end with the full joy of familiarity. I messed up my of. I'm just going to go ahead and do this because... Okay, the full joy of familiarity. Okay, so this is where I want to end. So after I'm done doing my design is when I will go in and put arrows, just because you can see on this example, if the text isn't going in order the way people are used to reading, you can use arrows to direct them. And I do that a lot. My words hardly ever go in the order you would expect. So, but I'm not going to put the arrows now because what I want to do now is actually go ahead and, I don't know why there's such a shadow on this. I think it's just because the sun is moving around outside, but I'll try to, no. This is what YouTubers have problems with, right? Is the shadows in their videos. Anyway, there's a shadow, sorry. But yeah, so then I could take my paint markers, random selection of paint markers. I sort of have a fun color palette that I'm using in various things right now. So here's my markers, and then I have 4 sections plus the title. So maybe I would just go ahead and choose 5 markers and then divide. No, what you can do if you want is just literally go in and start blocking out lines like this. Can you see this? I hope you guys can see this. Otherwise, it's kind of silly. I think it's the window behind me. Hold on one second. And I'm going to see if I can. Ooh. Is that any better? Oh, I think that's better. Okay, anyway. I'll hold it up close. Literally, you can go through and just start marking out lines. And that could be your spread. You go through, you have various colors. You mark out the lines that you didn't want to circle, and Bob's your uncle. What I'm going to do is just something slightly more complicated. I'm just going to select sections to black out based on these 5 different So this is my first section. This is where my title is. Bump, bump. Waldo is groaning. He doesn't like this. This just makes it a little more interesting, I would say. You know. And the other thing people do all the time, they do amazing, like, images. If you have the kind of mind where you picture a rose in your head and you draw it out on the paper, like, this would be cool to, the theme is friendship, right? So it would be cool to have, like, I don't know, maybe if I could draw an illustration, I might draw, like, two hands holding each other. I don't know what I would do. But I don't have that kind of brain, or that's not my style, so. But it is, you know, just Google blackout poetry and you will see all kinds of things. I like to call it chosen poetry, by the way. Okay, so now I have exclamation. Blessed friends is second. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing where I'm selecting that. And I'm just crossing out all the lines of text within that section that I don't want in my poem. And this is the cool thing about paint markers, but because it's so immediate. But I could also, you could do this with crayons, you could do it with colored pencils, Sharpies, whatever you want. But what's nice about the paint markers is they don't bleed through. You can't really see, but okay. Exclamation, blessed friends. Next is good things of life. So I'm gonna go with pink. And good things of life, I'm gonna try to get more of this bottom part. And then I also am doing this top part. And honestly, just while I'm doing this, I just wanted to talk about process art. I think I mentioned that in the last video, but didn't go into it. And the idea with process art is that rather than making art and having something you expect to happen at the end, like I am now going to sit down and paint this still life, and at the end it's going to look like still life. Process art is making art for the process. So that is the point. And in that case, you don't know what's going to happen. Now, again, we're choosing restrictions, and I had a basic idea that this page was going to have words on it and color on it via paint markers. But I didn't know, sitting down, I certainly didn't know what the end product was going to look like. And I didn't know that which words I was going to find. I didn't know that I was going to do this funky, you know, these sections that are kind of funky. So that's the difference between process art and art that has more, I guess, of an agenda. Is I'm just letting the page kind of dictate, or my mood, or, you know, I think process art often, for me, I have an idea I want to investigate, and then I try not to get too bogged down in how I'm going to investigate it. Or I have new tools that I want to use, and I don't care what the end product is. I just want to see what these tools do. So that's another way I can experiment with process art. Ooh, I don't like that color. I'm going to switch to this lighter yellow. Yeah. So I hope that's clear. Process art, like, just do it and have fun. Don't worry about what's going to happen in the end. I know that's easier said than done, but hopefully that will free you up to just have more fun and not be as concerned with, what am I doing? Am I doing it right? Now, I could just leave the page here and it would be a beautiful, it's really pretty, I think, actually, from far away. It almost looks sort of a spring Easter eggy color palette, right? So that I could leave this and it could be done, okay? And that would be, I did that page and it's a cool poem, exclamation. Oh, I do have to do I do want to do the arrows though, because the arrows tell you the order to read it in. And the other thing I often do is I somehow make my title more noticeable so that if someone is opening this page randomly and I'm not here guiding them, they'll know where to start. Sometimes I just write start here, but oftentimes I do like a, I just want to call attention to it somehow. So that if someone does end up here, they're like, oh, well, that's the most interesting part of this. So I bet I'm supposed to start there. Try to guide them there. Okay, so that's my title, and then I have to do my arrows. So the first thing is blessed friends. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna draw an arrow to lead the reader through the way I want them to read. Actually, I kind of like blessed friends, much gladness, good things of life. So I think I'll go down. Remember, process art. My whole poem just changed, right? After I thought I had already settled it. So just be open. Be open to seeing what happens. Let the words speak to you. Let the art speak to you. Let the book speak to you. And then I end in the full joy. So that's a pretty cool. Bloop. Okay. I have no idea. This is upside down or right side up. I don't know. Because this is my first time doing this kind of video. Okay, so I could be done. I love this page. I could fill in around the corners if I wanted to with a different color. I could do something more with these colors. I'm not going to necessarily make you sit here and watch me do all that. The mood I'm in now, I would probably just do more with these colors. Like, try to do something in the margins that uses up this space. I'm not one to let blank space go unused. I like to use up all the space that is available. So yeah, so maybe I would go in and do more. Let's see. What color did I not use? Yellow, yellow, yellow. Yada, yada, yada. So I could keep doing stuff. I could call it whenever I want. How do you know when something's done? You don't. It's done when you like it, is mine. Like, I keep going until I like it, and then I stop. So, I don't love this. I would probably do something. Just, I would probably add, I don't know, I'll probably add collage elements. Okay, but anyway, for the sake of this video, we're gonna call that done. So that's one way, very simple way with, again, paint markers, colored pencils, crowns, whatever you have, highlighters, even a black Sharpie. That is a very simple way to choose a poem, select words on the page, circle them so they don't get covered up, and then cover up the rest of the page in some way. We're going to do the same thing over here, except we're going to do it with collage. In this case, I don't care as much what's on the page. What I'm trying to do now is kind of match what I have over here. So I know this is about friendship. I had pre-selected a couple magazines. I'm just going to quickly flip through and see if I can find anything that goes with friendship, either words, people, dogs. Dogs are good for friendship. Chocolate. Chocolate is good because we have the good things of life. There's a woman with a dog. Let me flip through it and see. I haven't looked through this. Oh, here we go. Look. I've got a picture of 3 women. It's perfect. See what else I can find. The other thing that would be good would be like a phrase. A phrase that has to do with friendship. A beautiful life. That's a pretty good phrase. And what I'm doing, I'm just trying to demonstrate for you a simple process that you can do sort of. I'm trying to demonstrate that you don't need necessarily to have it all worked out before you sit down. I'm noticing that this color goes really well with my spring theme, so maybe I'm going to include that somewhere. Have more fun at the bottom here. That's very good. This Keurig ad is giving me a lot. Again, I had none of this planned when I sat down. I'm just in it to discover what's going to happen. You do you, period or not. If this would be the perfect image if these words weren't on top. So I could still use this image, but I'd have to, because I almost like that image better than this one. I don't know. I'd have to put words in the same place, which is annoying. But I could do that. It'd be nice to get another. Oh, the heart is nice, but it's not quite the right colors. It'd be nice to get another solid color that matches what I'm doing. Or black. Black would also work. So I'm always looking. Ooh, this is good. See, this is another. I'm always looking for patterns and colors. At this point, right, I have a color story, so I want to stick to that on the facing page. Just because I want to, not because it matters in any greater sense. It's just what I want to do. Oh, I was going to say, if you want to include in your list of restrictions, if you want to guide people like on color, that is something you could do. And you could say like, use such and such color palette, or, you know, use your favorite colors, or, you know, there's all kinds of ways. Oh, this is nice. Can you help me take this on? And it's in the right color story. Maybe I put that on top of these women. That might work, because that's a good demonstration of friendship, right? Nice to get one more. Ooh, here, I didn't really use that blue. Nice to get a purple. Something purple. Ooh, this is cool. I like the shimmery. I don't know if this is coming across in the video, but this is a really shimmery pattern. Oh, someone did already pull something out of there. All right, so I think I'm on the end. Oh, ooh. That's also cool. So let me pull that out. Okay, so now what I have are some collage elements. Get my scissors. Mostly I like to tear my collage elements, but since I know exactly what I want from here, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. Okay. Trash. All right. I know I want, I might use this pink as part of the background, but I know I want this phrase, "Can you help me take this on?" pasted on top of these two ladies. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my glue stick, paste that right on. And then I'm going to rip them out. I don't want that much of their background because I'm going to make my own background. And then okay. Make sure they fit on the page, and they do. I think I want even less of this green. Kind of got glue all over it before I meant to. Okay. So they fit on the page, and then I'm gonna do, okay, we didn't end up using Have More Fun, so I'm gonna put that over there, and we didn't end up using these ladies. And we didn't end up using A Beautiful Life. So for my background patterns, I have this green, which is cool. I have this yellow, these mushrooms, which I could put on this side. I've got a glittery something or other, and I've got a floral. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste in my background pattern. And I'm just using regular glue stick. I am going to put, remember these sheets I told you just have plain paper around, and put it between the pages so you're not unintentionally, so that you're not unintentionally gluing something you don't want to glue. So I put that between the pages, and then if I want to too, I mean this glue will be fine, but I can put a page here just to make sure I'm not, because I'm kind of messy. So I'm going to put all my patterns in, and this glue should hold them. And I'm not going to worry about getting it all the way down into the spine, just because this book is pretty thick. Oh, I also have this heart and this pink thing, which I'll edit at some point. But first, I'm going to do mushrooms up here, so take this out. If stuff hangs off the page as you're collaging, just let it. And then at the end, we can go back and trim. Does this seem silly that I'm doing a collage? Because I'm sure you all did a million collages in high school. As did I. But it's fun. Maybe you're working with me right now. Maybe you have your book out. I should have said that. In the next video, I'll remind you to get your book out and we can do a spread together. Okay, and then I know I want to put in this green, but I don't want the white on it, so I'm just going to cut the white off. I am anti-white in most things. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stick this on. I'm being pretty generous with the glue. I like that there is, and I don't know if you can really see this in the video, but there's already that color, that turquoisey color on the page, which is really cool. So anything I want to fill in, like my collage didn't quite go over there, so I could just make a little, I want to fill this in and have it continue off the page here, so I'm just gonna, I could go back and get more of that color, there was more, but I'm rushing. Okay. And then what else did I have? I had the sneaker. I love how you can't even tell that this is a sneaker anymore. So let me just double check my spacing here. Yeah, I think that'll be good. As I said, I'm kind of rushing just because I don't want you guys to have to be on this video forever. Please feel free to turn me off. You don't have to stay on there if it's not meaningful to you. I should be like talking more about the art process. But I think I've said everything I want to say. I just want you to have fun. Sit down. Try to sit down without a huge agenda in front of you. Explore your materials. Take your cues from the book. You know, the book gave me these words about friendship, blessed friends. And then that is now, you know, taking me down this road of collage, which I wouldn't have gone down on my own. So that's one of the things I love about blackout poetry in particular, is just that the words are there for the taking, and they can inform so much of what you do with your art. That's pretty good. Pretty good. These guys are already sticking because I put down. Now, I kind of have a bubble here, so what I'm going to do is actually just cut this in the middle. This is a trick I've been learning. Cut this in the middle, redo my glue, and then hopefully the bubble goes away. Doesn't always work, but it's supposed to. Okay. So, oh, I also like, I don't know if you can see this, the word love is up here as a, maybe I'll put that over my little hasty scribbling. I'll put that up here. That'll cover that up. It's cool. I got all of this from one magazine that I had pre-selected. I had no idea what I was going to find. So I just think that's cool. I'm sorry. That's cool. My hands are now dirty, so I'm getting glue on top. And I don't want to. All right. So I need to finish gluing these ladies. You can use a glue stick. I mean, a glue stick for magazine pages works well. You can also use your Mod Podge. You just need a very thin application of Mod Podge, because Mod Podge can make it wrinkly if you use too much. So just keep an eye on that. I actually want to try and take more of this off. There we go. There, let's remove this. Now, remember what I said, I can cut these off. Ooh, excuse me. So I'm just going to turn the page. Can you even see what I'm doing? I'm going to turn the page, and I'm just going to clip these to match the straight line. See, I would do the same thing on the bottom and the edges if I needed to, but I don't need to. I'm actually going to cut. I can't get this close, so I'm going to cut a little bit more of this so we can see more of this blue. There. There we go. It's looking good. I would probably get one more element on here, because I have a kind of a gap right here that I would like to fill. I have some extra yellow. Maybe I could throw some yellow in there, just because I don't like that weird gap. There we go. That's my collage. So, speaks to my poem. It has the same color palette, and now I have a full spread in an altered book that I actually really like. So I hope you like it too. What I would do after this glue is dry is, and I will do, is I would take my Mod Podge and I would cover both of these pages. Now, if you're not using, oh, I forgot about my heart. Where do I want to put my heart? If you're not using any of the markers I recommended, just make sure, because if you use an alcohol-based marker, then you don't want to put Mod Podge over top because it's going to smear. So just keep an eye. You try to use a paint marker that is water-based. And just make sure everything is completely dry. But what I would come in after everything has dried, I would come in and just put a thin layer of Mod Podge on top of both of these to protect them. Here's my heart. Where should I put my heart? I could also color my heart. That would give me more purple because I didn't have enough purple. Let me just quickly, boop. Let me just quickly color this heart. This is why I like to keep, I didn't do this today, but I like to keep a wet cloth nearby because I get glue on my hands so easily. And then I start getting it all over the paper, like a wipe or a cloth. Okay. Now my heart. Now I can put my heart on. You can see these paint markers dry pretty quickly. Where do I want to put the heart? Maybe down here? Down here in the corner? Whoops. Okay. Stick. Now, brayer. Remember, I suggested you get a brayer. So this allows me to push this heart down. I am smearing a bit because the marker wasn't quite dry. But this way I can push this down without getting paint all over my fingers. These are really handy. Just get a little tiny one. I know they're not cheap. Okay. Ta-da! What do you think? I have no idea which direction this whole video could be upside down. I don't know. So, da-da-da. Anyway, I think this turned out really cool. Look it back this way. It seems like this is the way you want to look at it. Really cool. We have a color story, we have a theme, we have a cool poem, we have a cool collage. And, you know, maybe it took 30 minutes. So, yay. I believe that is the end of this video. As always, if you have questions, let me know. I still have more collage stuff to send out. If you would like some, let me know. It's not too late. Give me your address and I'll send you stuff. Yeah, and we're going to get going here. So hopefully this week or the coming weekend, you have a chance to start your own book and to definitely come up with a theme and the restrictions. And then over the next few weeks, we will work on our books and then I'll remind you of the schedule. But I think you have at least 2 weekends before you have to pass the book or put the book in the mail. Okay, cool. Next video, I'll try to show you another way to make a spread. Okay?